This week, we're talking about how to ask your network to help you find a job or help you with a promotion or help you with whatever your goal, Cinderella might be. What I find interesting about this is so often people say, oh, you need to network to find a job. You need to find new people. And here's what I first say to everybody is you already have a network. People who already exist that you don't even know may or may not be talking about you that you can leverage first. They are your first fans. And who are these people? Well, they're your managers, past and present. And by the way, if your present manager doesn't know why you are uniquely awesome, you should get aligned on that. Colleagues, who have you done projects with? Customers, who have you done external projects with? And if you don't have an external facing role, maybe even partners or vendors, really helpful for those people who don't necessarily work in the front facing part of their organizations. These people exist everywhere and have had an experience with you and probably already have an idea about what your potential is. The question is can they help you see it by being a mirror for you? Can they help you amplify it, or are they already, by talking about you, or are they already people who are socially generous and who are talking about people? And you should make sure, like all of the people in your network, that they are telling the story about you that you want them to be saying rather than the one that they believe. Because if those things aren't the same, well, then, Houston, we have a problem. We're going to talk about this and more on today's show: how to help get your network to help you find a job. After the show is ended, we will be pausing the recording and we'll go into what we call Cinderella time, where I get to be your fairy godmother. You get to be Cinderella or Cinderella, whichever you prefer. And we will answer questions specifically about today's topic and then any other questions you may have. Last but not least, stick around, because those of you that know that if you show up, you can win. Towards the end of the show, we will also be pulling a name out of the hat from somebody who is still attending on getting a free 30-minute one-on-one with me. I got to talk to the amazing Lydia in Mexico City earlier this week, who I will just describe was a beautiful combination of hustle and hope. I was very excited to talk to somebody in another country, which is always, well, all countries are amazing, but it is wonderful that we are getting international in our help to help people find out about the future then. Okay, so with all of that, let me pull all of my information up. We are just having some serious technical problems this morning. Here is where I would like to start all of you. Oh, come on. Share screen. Okay. You have all heard me say this many, many times. And when I think about the power of your network or asking your network to help you find a job, this statement is more true than anything. Why? Because the numbers out there, and yes, I'm going to start on a slightly negative note, are kind of horrifying. I was talking to one of my recruiter friends the other day who works with Spotify, and they mentioned that they had posted an entry-level role and within less than 48 hours had received 1,400, and I am not making this number up, applicants. 1,400, which is not unusual in this day and age. The volume of applications, because so many people are either unemployed or have brought their heads up on their desk and gone, hang on a second, it's time to look, is loud. Plus, the benefit, if we can actually find a silver lining in all of this crazy, of the pandemic is the flexibility to work for companies that aren't down the street from you suddenly became an option. So it does mean that actually getting through that first phase of the filter is getting infinitely more difficult. And the way to get through that filter, because just as a reminder, your resume is just a bunch of keywords, and with 1,300 applications, they are not reading every single one of them. It is physically impossible. Just do the math. Even if they were doing 1 minute per person, it would take them hours to get through everybody, and 1 minute isn't going to do you a favor. So they are filtering on keywords. Your resume is an SEO tool. What it does mean is that somebody who is making decisions in the room, whether it's the recruiter, whether it's the hiring manager, whether it's other members of the organization, are actually thinking about, well, who would the right person for this job be? And what are their skills? Who are they? What are their behaviors? What are their capabilities? And what is their potential? And that starts, and that is that every decision made about you is made in a room that you are not in conversation. It's absolutely when it starts. And quite honestly, it often starts even before the job description is posted entirely. So what do you need to know about this when it comes to your network? You need to make sure that your network knows how to talk about you when the opportunities come up. And I see over and over and over and over again in the work that I do with people all day, every day, is when I say to them, like, what are people going to say about you in the room that you're not in? I hear, I'm really good at getting things done. People really trust me. People really like me. People really think I can have great impact. All amazing and awesome words. But let me tell you, just a little poll, how many of you would say, I'm really good at getting things done? Even those of you that I have yelled at. You're not good at getting things done? Liars, you are. You showed up today. You were absolutely great at getting things done. But everybody is good at getting things. Well, that's actually not true. There are a handful of people who are not good at getting things done, but we're not talking to them, right? We are all good at that. We are actually all really great strategic thinkers in our area of expertise, but those descriptors are just the base. It's about finding and having language that you've taught your network that is original enough that it makes it unique to you, but recognizable enough that people go, oh, I get the value of that thing. And just as an FYI, for those of you that haven't gone through either one of the prize sessions that we give away or actually invested in yourself and done some work with me, these are the questions that we answer. First, what is your goal? What is it you want to do? Where is it you want to go? Because as you know, the fairy godmother couldn't get Cinderella to the ball. She didn't know where she was going. And then what are people saying today? And how do you find that out in a really authentic and helpful way? Because FYI, if you haven't already heard, I'm starting to ban the word feedback around here because all feedback does is give you a criticism. And criticism is not what you're looking for. You are looking for potential. You were looking for what is the possibility. You were looking for what is the capabilities, because that's the bridge between a problem that needs to be solved that somebody is hiring for and what you are able to do. So when I talk about the every decision made about you and your opportunities is made in a room that you're not in, my first question is, are they talking about you? Do they even know you exist? And how do you do that? And one of the things as I think about all of that, that I am absolutely convinced about is that you already have, unless, well, even if this is your first job out of college, you already have an amazing network of people who can talk about you. And let me talk to you about who these folks are. Because the first step in figuring out how to get your network to help you is to identify who they are. So, first of all, who are the managers? Who are the people who have managed you not only today, but throughout your career? You'd be surprised how many of them would actually be more than happy to talk about your potential and your capabilities, even if they are not helping you get another job, which maybe if that's your situation, you have a current manager, that might be the situation. But they are absolutely the person who not only can tell you how your potential and your capabilities are perceived, but also should tell you. Super important. Second of all, colleagues. I have lost count of the amount of times that I have been introduced to people and introduced to rooms that I shouldn't have been in through somebody who had, from my perspective, no relationship capital and no title. Um, Conversations happen in the most interesting way. I had a boss once who used to recruit people from restaurants based on the kind of service he got from his service, whoever was waiting his table. It was one of his favorite places to recruit because he said, look, I get to see who they are and what they're all about in a very service oriented space, and would create potential and opportunities. So really thinking about who are all of the kind of secondary people around you. It could be colleagues, it could be people from other teams. One of my particular favorites is colleagues who are in departments that are completely different to yours. Um, Mostly because I was genuinely curious about how they think and what they do. I used to spend an inordinate amount of time hanging out with the engineering team at the companies I used to work for. I am absolutely blessed to consider many of them as really great friends. I'm absolutely asking them, how do they see the value of how I think? Because how I think, very different from your standard engineer, but they are absolutely making decisions about me and my opportunities in rooms that I'm not in. So colleagues are a really great resource for these people. Customers, if you are, and I'm not even thinking about an outward facing role, like suppose you are part of a support team or you actually work with customers once a deal has been done, they have really good insight into your capabilities and your value, because ultimately they are paying your company for your time and your information. Really great resource of people. And if not customers, certainly partners as well are a really good resource. Do you have any vendors that you collaborate with? Really helpful in organizations like the legal team or the finance team. Again, one of my favorites, the engineering team. Some of the ones that maybe aren't as customer facing. Do you know? And then I sit here and say, within those categories, of those people, who are the influencers? So who are the people talking about other people in rooms that are not in? Because I'll tell you, the number one sign of somebody who will be open and willing to share information about you with others is somebody who's already doing it for somebody else. I have noticed this pattern over and over again as I have worked with people and see who act with what I call social generosity and are making introductions. And a person who does it once will do it lots of times, because usually they have actually identified that it is probably their best way of getting decisions to be made about them in rooms that they are not in. Another example are amplifiers, very similar in that they are actually making bets on people. Amplifiers often, however, are not public and don't do it in front of other people. And so if you see people who have gotten promotions, gotten jobs, gotten opportunities that you're like, how did you pivot into this area, or how did you get this role? Find out who went to bat for them. Find out what their process was. They've probably got somebody who is amplifying them behind the scenes. Often this is described as a sponsor as well. And so if you know somebody who has a sponsor, find out who they are, how that relationship happened, and what was the dynamic. And here's the reality: if somebody has been sponsored, they are also more likely to sponsor somebody else. My only call out for that is that individual sponsor is not the person to reach out to. Sponsors choose you, amplifiers choose you, not the other way around, because they see the potential and they want to invest in you. Fastest way to get a sponsor and amplifier to shut down is to ask them outright to do so, unless you already have an amazing trusted relationship. The last category of characters, whatever role they might be, is one of my favorites. They're all kind of my favorites, is mirrors. And mirrors are people who, as you're working with them, are people who go, gosh, this is how I see what it is you're doing. They actually reflect back your value to you. If you don't have a mirror in your network today, I highly, highly, highly recommend going out and finding one. And later in the show, I'm going to be explaining, like, how do you actually identify somebody who's a mirror? But thinking about Who are all of these characters and what are they all about? And if you are on the hunt for a job or looking to pivot your career, or you're trying to take something to the next step, think about yourself as like, actually get analytical on this and think about yourself like a product and say like, okay, who are all of the characters that I already know that look like all of those that I can recruit into this experience? And how can I categorize them as what role do they play, and what role do, whether it's mirror, amplifier, or influencer, what role I am hoping for from them? I absolutely recommend opening up an Excel sheet or a Google sheet or whatever your tracking device of choice is, and starting to put that in there. Every salesperson on the planet, because yes, you are trying to learn how to sell yourself to people, uses some sort of tracking device to remember who people are and how they're connected, and what is the conversation they're having with them. Put them down all in a list. Now you'll notice step one is just identify. This does not mean I'm asking you to go ask everybody. It's just figure out who are all of the possible customers, who are all of the possible people who could help you in this process. Then, once you've got all of your list of possible people, you start asking. And there's a reason why I say create the list first and then create the ask. Because in creating the list, it will actually help you think of other people. Plus, it will actually also stop you having that little conversation in your head that goes, oh no, I can't ask them. I can't ask them. How many people have that conversation periodically? Yeah. Yes, you can. You could absolutely ask them. Like, what are they going to say? No? That's okay. No harm in asking. And FYI, just in asking, you're planting a seed that you are shifting, you are about to take action. I've seen multiple people ask for something, get an initial no, or actually silence, who then have gotten a call later where they've said, oh, I knew you were looking and I thought about you, because again, every decision made about you is made in a room that you are not in. So create the list, do not edit it, because you are going to let them edit themselves off the list as a potential network person. Because if you don't ask, they can't help you. So how do you ask? First thing, if you are like, I'm sure you're going to go through and say like, these people will absolutely help me, no big deal. Put them in one bucket. The people who you're, even if it's a little bit nervous about this, don't stop with an ask, start with a validation. And what I mean by that is emailing them, texting them, calling them, whatever the right format is. Be a smart person, pick out the right format, but actually say to them, like, announce what it is you're doing and saying, hey, I'm reaching out because I think I'm going to make a shift in my career, however you want to describe that. And as part of that, I want to start exploring a little bit about how people describe my capabilities and my potential. Would you be open to providing me some of that information? That's it. Just a seed. Now, the response to that will be either silence. And I never ding people who do silence, because I don't know about the rest of you, but I get 50,000 emails every day. I get a whole bunch of social media stuff. If I see a thing and go, oh, I need to respond to that, it can fall to the bottom of the list. Plus, I've had a lot of sensitivity with the moms of the world today, who I think are kind of holding the world together at the moment because of the kids and the family and the. If you are going through COVID stress, maybe now is not the time. Silence is fine. You may get, and by the way, I always give people an easy out when I ask something. I say, if it's a no, that's fine. No worries. Let me know and I'll take you off the list. But they might come back with a no. If they come back with a yes, here is signal number one, that they have an idea about what your potential is and want to talk to you about it. Huzzah, brilliant conversation to have. The second, so then you come back and say, awesome, how can I make it easy for you? This is the thing we often forget when we're asking, because we're being equally selfish, which I think is fine, you should be, and equally requestive at the same time. And so I always ask, how can I make this easy for you? And in doing that, I will also give, like, do you want me to schedule time? Would it be easier to do this through email? Do you want to text? Give them options. Again, whenever you're asking somebody for something, give them a choice to participate and an easy out. And then how do you make it easy for them? If they've given you all of that, you know now you're going to have a really amazing conversation with them. So now you have made your ask. My second, so you're starting to actually, you've got your list of all of the people in your network who could help you. Then you figured out who of all of those people are going to be on your, okay, how do I take this to the next step level? The third step, before you even start asking for any sort of introductions or all of this sort of stuff, is do you have your kit and caboodle ready? Also known as your marketing materials. Because remember, if you are looking for a new job, it's because you are trying to get somebody else to buy your future time. And so have you put your own kit together so that if they get on the phone, if your network person goes, I have an opportunity for you, you are ready to go. So number one, as you can imagine in your marketing kit, the first thing I want you to make sure you have ready is, what is your future you messaging? What is that language that describes the kind of problems you are really great at solving and why you are uniquely good at solving those problems? Because that is the thing that people are hiring for. Have you gone through that exercise and figured out what that is for you? Now, no big surprise. If you work with me, this is what we actually put together for you. This is all of the things. But you're all smart people. You can sit here and figure out what kind of problems you're really great at solving. Remember, it's their problems, not what you are good at doing. So what kind of problems you're great at solving. Second of all, have you been clear about what it is you want? What is your ball? Remember when the fairy godmother met Cinderella, she did not say, oh, I need a pretty frock and I need a ride. She actually said, I want to go down to the ball. And the fairy godmother then was able to put all of the zhuzhing around that. So are you clear about what it is you want? Now, I know often there are two camps going on here. One, lots of people, especially if you're a more senior person, I get a lot of, well, it depends. Well, create an it depends matrix, which is a matrix of, if the opportunity looks like X, then my contribution could look like Y. Give people options to choose there. I also hear a lot from people who are like, I just need a job. Telling somebody I will do anything is as unuseful as it depends, because if people don't know what it is you want to do, they can't connect the dots for you, or you're asking them to do so for you, which is too hard. So your goal on what is your goal is to be specific enough so that it articulates something unique, but broad enough to cover all of your bases, which is why I generally, while I'll use title as a guideline, I will talk about industry. I will talk about the kind of problems that need to be solved. And again, I will talk about not values, but value, like what kind of value are people looking to bring to their organization? So making sure you have your what do you want? And while they make me crazy, you do need to have your resume and LinkedIn completed. They do need to be grammatically correct. They need to have the right keywords, because in today's market, you still need that information. Do understand, however, that while somebody's going to say, can you send me your resume? It doesn't mean you only have to send your resume. You can send your entire marketing toolkit. There's absolutely no reason why you can't do that, because the reality is people are not downloading and opening attachments. And if they are, they're only looking for 8 seconds. And so if you send the entire toolkit with an introduction, what kind of problems you're great at solving, what kind of opportunity will get the best from you, you will get better reaction to it. And then last but not least, if you want to do bonus points on this, is you can also create one of what we call the executive graphics. This is one we created with one of our clients called Pam, who's a humanizer, visualizer, and architect. Remember, visual elements make you 60,000 times more memorable. So why not put them in as part of your materials? Keywords, awesome for optimizing an applicant tracking session. not so awesome for helping the brain remember what is the unique you. So making sure you put all of those things together to make it easy for people to understand who you are, what you are about, where you could add value. And if you are in creative services or you're an engineer, like links to your portfolio. If you're an event planner, like link to an event you've done before, give people opportunities to easily see your work and what it is you've done and how you've had impact. And bonus points, if any of your network people that you're connecting to are former colleagues, it's quite possible they might actually have verbatims about the value that you brought to an organization. Customer testimonials work for people as well. They don't just necessarily have to happen for products. So it's fine to ask those sorts of questions as you're going through. So step 2, have your kit together. Then step 3, I want to talk you through what I call my asking workflow. Because I find that this balances the fact that your request, while it's 100% about you and you should be selfish, which you will find that I think you have to be a little bit selfish and you have to be generous in the same exercise. And how do you find the balance between those? Because when you're asking, it's as much about you as it isn't about you. And it's about understanding who you're asking. So I always come out when I'm thinking about making a request, my first question is, how do I need to personalize for the recipient? Nobody likes a Borg. I actually did a little rant. If you follow me on LinkedIn, you'll see that I didn't name and shame, but I did out somebody who sent me a very unpersonalized LinkedIn request. And I was like, please, people, do not do this, and gave you some examples on what to do. So personalize. I also am very careful to make sure that I am being thoughtful about follow-up before I even make an ask. And then what I also call follow through. So when I make an ask, I've personalized it, they've made an action. Not only do I follow up and say thank you, but I will also do what I call the second thank you and do a follow through on the action and come back and say, look, you connected me on this. This is what happened. I just want to say thank you. If you ask anybody how often people follow up with what I call the second thank you, you'll find that it's less than 5% of the time. And yet I challenge you, if anybody has done it for you, how awesome it makes you feel as somebody who has helped somebody in the past. Like when you hear, like this is every teacher's dream, to hear that their student actually succeeded and thrived and all of this. Same thing. It is the fastest way and the most effective and the most genuine and the most authentic way to build amazing relationships with your network is by not only asking politely, following up and following through, but then coming back with the second thank you at the end. This process, and you'll notice that I actually have an audit step in there because I do believe you kind of have to watch it almost like a salesperson as you go through it every single time, will not only strengthen your relationships with people, but actually make them more willing to help you in the future, make it easier for them to help you in the future, and they will, over time, get better and better and better about talking about the value of the future you. This is like you, I'm trying to think if I've seen an example recently. Like I sit here, I don't know about the rest of you, but I was completely blown away by, and I keep forgetting her name, Amanda Woodward, I think it was, the poet laureate at the inauguration this week. I don't know about the rest of you, but I went, I was not that sorted out at 22. Not even close. It's kind of a functional train wreck. And I was like, wow, how did she get there? And I guarantee you it's because she was brave in putting her voice out there, as she was brave at the inauguration. I think that was some beautiful, beautiful language. She's quite the artist, but she shared and asked for help along the way. And as we've uncovered some of her story, you can see all of the people along the way who've made introductions to connect her through, because what she has is clearly an amazing talent. But that amazing talent and that amazing value that she brought to the world stage this week would not have been seen had she not been brave enough to share her marketing kit, her portfolio, start sharing it with other people and asking for people to make introductions through. I have no doubt that she has been the catalyst of her own success. And so you think about, how can you make that happen? We are so often taught that if you just click the button or a part of the consideration set through the resume, that will actually get you there. I just think that's just not true in this world. And am I saying that you all need to get to write a poem to start a new chapter in US presidency? No. But I have no doubt you want to make impact in your own way. And so in asking, you're helping people choose the future you. And the more you do it, the more successful you will be. And I'll stop by saying and giving you a real life example. So once upon a time, back in the, I think 90s, I was a bag carrying salesperson who lived on basically commissions alone. And in that scenario, I was literally selling a product. Now, it was a product that was digital and people couldn't touch and feel. So very simple, similar to the concept of a human product. So I didn't get to say, look at this amazing product and don't you want to buy it? I was actually selling websites back in 1995. Woo, I just dated myself a tiny piece. I used this same idea of understanding who my network was, referrals, making asks, to manage my entire business. I will also now confess that I was also fantastically lazy at the same time. I knew that if I made 10 asks a week to decision makers, I would have enough deals to close to not only mean that I was a top performer in the sales organization, but I was consistently a top performer in the sales organization. And this was solution selling. I was making sure my customers were not just buying the product, but super happy with the product so that they could refer the product. It is the same concept when it comes to doing your work, whether you are a freelancer, an entrepreneur, or an employee in an organization. You are the CEO and founder of You Inc. The product that you are selling is your future time. And you need to think about it that way in this marketplace that we are on, because we've all learned the slightly painful lesson that job safety and security is no longer a thing and that people choose you every single day. And so start really thinking about how do you do that for yourself is important. And your network is the one you have today is the most valuable resource you have. And it's also the one that will help you take you through. So yes, I'm a big fan of networking and going out and meeting new people. Part of why I love doing this is I get to meet all sorts of new people. But really thinking about who are the people in your network today is incredibly important, incredibly helpful in helping your network. So I'm going to recap everything for you, if I can get my screen up, for you to remember all of the steps. So 1, when you make that first introduction, like recruit your people, figure out who they are. When you make that first introduction, why are you asking? Why then? What are you hoping for the conversation? How do you want to make it easy? This is to people in your network, just as a reminder. And as a reminder, what you're trying to teach them is the kind of problems you're solving, the kind of examples of things that you've done in your past, giving them opportunities to see your portfolio. Make sure you personalize this for each and every conversation. And super important, and I know we didn't talk about this earlier, if you are trying to pivot your career, your job with them is not to say, look, this is what I've done. It's actually to bridge what you've done to what it is you want to do. Because, and I'll do a little sidebar conversation. I've had a lot of these conversations myself recently with my network of people, because I've got some new ideas in there. I went to go talk to one of my network who is absolutely responsible for accelerating my career back in 1997. And I will eternally be grateful to him. And as we were talking about my potential and my capabilities, I realized for about the 100th time that he still saw value in the kind of thinking and brain and problems that I like to solve back in the 90s, which are still true, but it's not the story I wanted him to be telling about me in rooms I was not in today. Because it's been, what is that, 20 something years? Ooh, that's an awfully long time. So we actually spent a lot of the conversation bridging him from past Joanna to current Joanna to actually who future Joanna wanted to be. It's going to be a bit of an uphill battle with him because he's like, no, 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 this is where you're awesome. This is where you're good. It then gave me the opportunity to say, you know, do I actually want to have him as part of my amplification team, because he doesn't want to tell a different story about me. He wants to tell the past story, and I want a new story to be told about me. And it then gives me the choice to say, well, maybe he's not part of that team. I'm still always going to go back to him for thoughts and responses about what it is I'm doing, and maybe he'll come around, but maybe not the person to be out marketing for me on what it is I'm doing. So really, these conversations can get really deep and really important. So then coming back on your request, being clear on what kind of organization will get the best for you. So what ball are you trying to get to? Like, what is your ambition? Make sure you're keeping all of this information, if you're going to share it with them, really simple with bullets, and what kind of role you see yourself having impact in. It's the best way to answer the what is it you want to do. So again, not so much titles, you can use that as a bucketing as a secondary, but what kind of role do you see yourself having impact? And then making sure you have clear next steps in your ask. So how can people follow up? What are the next steps? You can take this same format and use it as part of your packet to send to your network to actually introduce you to other people. So when somebody's introducing somebody else, actually creating a template email for you that says, hey, so-and-so, I want to introduce you to Dawn. Because Dawn is looking for a new opportunity. I know Dawn isn't, although she's on the show. Nice to see you, Dawn. Dawn is looking for an opportunity. The kind of problems Dawn is really great at solving are bullet point, bullet point, bullet point. The kind of organization that I think would get the best from Dawn is bullet point, bullet point, bullet point. When I thought of you and I thought of Dawn, I thought there might be an opportunity for the two of you, which is why I'm connecting you. The easiest way to get connected with Dawn is, here's her LinkedIn profile, here's her email address, I'll let you take it from there. Imagine you actually created that, and I've just run through the whole thing, and yes, we're recording this, you can go back and watch it on YouTube. You actually sent an email that said that to the people in your network after you've had the conversation to make it easy for them, because you'll notice I put it all in third person, easy for them to introduce you to other people. That's where the power of the flywheel of marketing the future you and actually having your network help you navigate through and help you find a job really comes into play and makes it incredibly easy for people to help you. Last thing on this whole topic before we roll into follow up, because I know we're coming towards the end of the show. My leadership moment for the show. There is nothing more powerful that you can do as a leader in your organization than to proactively give people their interview / potential language before they leave the organization. Kylie, who used to be part of this organization, would probably get this from me once a quarter. We would be working on a project. She would do something brilliant. I'd be like, stop, I need to point this out. What you did was brilliant. This is why, and this is how I would want you to talk about it if you were ever in a job interview in the future. This was not just kept to 360 reviews, although we don't really do those sorts of things around here. It was not kept to 360 reviews. It was not kept to a specific time. It was in the moment, kind of like feedback, but way more awesome. It was in the moment, it was applicable, and it was valuable to the future self. What it ultimately did for Kylie was help her see her potential and her value within the organization today, which is why she was part of the team for a super long time, and I'm super excited for her in the future. But it also means that when she went to go out and interview for a new job, which I did not introduce her to, somebody else in her network did, she had some really great, what I call portfolio examples of where her value was seen, and how to tell the story about her in her future. So if you are a leader in an organization, managing people, this is one of the most powerful things you can do. Heads up, I would give people a bit of a warning shot that you're going to do it, because they're going to be surprised the first time you do. But it's an incredibly powerful thing. And I'll tell you from personal experience, there's nothing more fun. Feedback doesn't necessarily have to be a critique. Feedback can actually be an amplification. And I think we should do more of those. So really amazing things to do. Okay, which brings us to our fun moment of the show. Hold on a second. It is time to make some magic. Kelly.
Yes, we have a winner.
Who is winning a one-on-one with me this week?
Yes, so your winner today, drum roll, Heather Connell.
Hello, Heather. What do I see you on? Is she up? Did we still see her?
Did she just jump off?
Oh, no.
Oh, no, she was on just a second ago.
What do we think? I'm going to let the room vote. Do we give her it or do we pull again because she didn't stick around? I see some gives. I think we should give it to her. Stick around. She made it to most of the show. She made it that far. We were around. Okay. Last but not least for everybody, some challenges for you, and then how to, if you're all like, oh my God, Joanna, you went super fast through all of this. What do we do? So just a reminder, we do share all of these shows on YouTube about a week after they have been posted, along with links to all of the resources that we're sharing today and information. If you are like, oh my God, I don't know about my value language, or I'm really struggling with figuring out how to create my potential or what my potential might be, or even just need a confidence boost along the way. As we announced a couple of weeks ago, we do have the monthly Joanna in your phone texting experience where I send you out on challenges and I am behind the scenes helping you through text. And so Kelly's going to be dropping both those programs in chat if you are interested in learning about them. They're the Confident Me and the Future Me, whichever one you want to get your own medicine. We're also announcing a new program called the Transformation Experience with me personally. So if you are interested in doing one-on-one work with me and actually doing the transformation language, getting your executive graphic, having me have a fairly intense conversation about your potential, we have repackaged up that experience. You actually get 2 sessions with me, one to create and one to follow up, where we really create it based on your individual needs. If you are interested in signing up for this, we don't just launch you into the deep end. It's a little bit more involved. And so Kelly should be dropping a link in the chat, which we will also put in the notes on YouTube. If you want to fill out a form to learn more, we will send all of that for you. But we are dropping the PDF that includes all of the information about this particular experience into the chat as well. Again, on YouTube, it's going to be in the link below. So if any of you want to learn about either of these programs, either the text program or actually getting one-on-one time with me, we are here to help you, because ultimately I want you to be successful with the future you. So for those of you that are watching on YouTube, if you've made it this far, thank you for coming. You are also more than welcome to join us live every Friday at noon Pacific time. You can go to joannablore.eventbrite.com to find out all of the shows. We've got them scheduled through May and we'll continue through. And you can register and come live. Again, if you come live to the show, not only do you become eligible for the 3 30-minute session, but also can stick around, which we are about to do, with Cinderella time and have a conversation. So bye, and thank you for watching to my YouTube audience. Ultimately, we're here to help you figure out how to teach other people who the future you is, so that you can be you in the future. Because the clearer you are about who you are, what you want, and teach other people why that's awesome, the more likely you get to be you. I know, it's a bit of a circle. I'm Joanna, your potentialist and fairy godmother, and I wish you the very best. Thanks for coming.